acting ACP, Mr.
ACP.
ACP, Mr. Donald Denoon, and today actually, or Sunday is his last day of policing, and then he go on pre-retirement leave for about 16 or 18 months. Mr. Denoon, can you tell us how long you've been in the service?
I would have joined the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in the year 1977, the 1st of December. So that will take us into about 77 to now. Yeah.
And what are some of the areas you've worked in throughout the country?
Well, when I graduated from what is now called the Police Academy, was then called the Training College, I first went to the Central Division, where I worked for approximately 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and other.
Oh. Following the station, more working in stations in that division, I then was posted to the K9 branch. At the K9 branch, I would have served for approximately 8 years. Following which I again left the Mountain and K9 and I went on to Southwestern Division. Southwestern Division is where I spent I would have served the longest. Right, I made approximately 18 years in Southwestern Division, working in a few of the stations. But my main area of work there was in the CID. Yeah.
You have seen many uprising in the country, many challenges, the crime rate, murder rate escalating as as though there's no control sometimes. And right now we have this
Pleasant
situation.
evening, everybody. Just a brief announcement. We just got word that the commissioner will begin shortly. So we just have to hold for about 5 minutes, please.
We have seen the uprising in Enterprise, which happened to be your area presently. And can you tell us, what's happening?
Well, in terms of crime, yes, we can say that I have seen during my tour of duty a gradual increase to today where we are seeing more than ever before, especially in the area of homicides. Because what we have recorded in the last 3 years, we have seen a decrease in the number of serious crimes, right? Um, Last year being the lowest in the last almost 30 years. Um, the number of serious crimes has dropped significantly. But the major challenge all along is that of homicides, where a great effort has been made on behalf of the officers um, to bring down that figure through, in our strategic plan. We are doing a lot of community work with the youth groups, um, police station, community councils, getting people involved. And in that way, we are seeing a small increase, a small reduction, in fact, in the number of murders. And I know that as time goes along, the efforts of the police are going to be given support by the public, and we are going to see a greater reduction in murders as we go along.
Do you recommend a police post in Enterprise?
Even though we are to use a police post in Enterprise, I would suggest it would be for a temporary, that of a temporary nature. And even in doing so, when we do put a post there, it must be one that we have to focus strenuously on the community, involving ourselves in initiatives that are going to bring the police and the people closer, closing the gap between us. And at the end of the day, the police, together with other institutions in the society, must make a difference and encourage especially the younger people in Enterprise and well, the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, to recognize the opportunities that are available to young people in this country. And in this way, this is one of the ways that we are going to make that impact on reducing crime further, and especially homicides.
So do you think there should probably be some programs from primary school into secondary, maybe up to university level?
Of course, the programs are there, but the question is, are those programs reaching the people in areas as enterprise? Are they reaching them in a significant way to bring about the effect we want to see, right, as we aim to be a developed society? Yes.
Tell me something about this latest impasse with the magistrates, the police officers, the lawyers are being scanned, media being scanned. Police cannot take their guns into the magistrates court, and sometimes you have the police have to take guns into the magistrates court for exhibit. Should How do you see? What do you think should happen?
Well, in my area of responsibility in the south, that complaint was not present. Um, in the case of carrying exhibits, that has been always an accepted policy, and I'm sure that is going to continue because it's part of the whole legal ramifications that are involved, that the presiding officers must have a look at the exhibits. So I don't see a problem in that. As I said again, the problem of officers being restrained from entering the courts with their personal firearms, whether they're personal firearms or those issued to them by the service, that has not been an issue in Area South. Yeah.
What would you like to see in the future taking us forward? What would you like to see?
What I would like to see is during my time in the service, at this juncture, it is one where I see the greatest amount of training. Officers are being exposed to training both locally and foreign. And what I would like to see is that when officers return from being trained, that effort to monitor, to see how effective they are performing with the training that they got, and there must be that continuous monitoring and encouragement of the officers to use the training, especially in the area of leadership, because I look at my whole career, especially in the higher ranks, and that whole aspect where leadership is concerned is so important, that the people you supervise must have that trust, that confidence, have that feeling that, or knowing that you the leader care. And from my experience, I have seen that when these things are practiced, you get more out of the juniors, you get more out of them, and they do what they are required. Yeah.
What are some of the needs that you think police are lacking? I mean, I don't mean in training, I mean like more amenities, more vehicles.
One of the things I would like to say, when we talk about needs, I remember some time ago I had the opportunity to attend a foreign course, and I was taken aback when one of the facilitators, a former commissioner of the New York City Police, addressed us, and he spoke about that same issue of what the different police forces, people complain always that they want more. But what he encouraged is that ability to work towards achieving your objectives with what you have. And what the point he sought to bring to us is that even in the absence of all the resources that you may need, there are other entities with whom we work. If we should partner with them, we are going to achieve the same goals because we are all going towards the same goals. So it encourages us to partner with one another so that it obviates the need that you want more. Because the more that you want is in the possession of another party whom you can work with, and we all could achieve the goals.
Greater collaboration.
Greater
with
collaboration.
The community and
Yes, yes.
the business.
The
and
business.
all the stakeholders
Yes, all the
coming
stakeholders.
together.
Yes, yes.
But how do you see we going forward in beginning to implement?
Well, the whole, again, as I would say, is always this is where the sort of information that officers need and should be encouraged not to work in isolation. I remember reading a book on that whole 9/11 issue of 9/11, and what came to the fore is agencies working in silos. If agencies had worked together, there's a great chance that that whole 9/11 situation would have been avoided. So that is the same thing that I would recommend to get into the psyche of the modern police leader, the value of collaboration, the value of working with the other agencies and entities, the value of working with the public and to bring about that success.
Tell me about our maritime borders. We know a lot of guns, a lot of ammunition, drugs, illegal immigrants are still coming through the
Yeah.
borders. So tell me what would be your solution for the borders?
Well, we do not have to reinvent the wheel. And when you look internationally, even in landlocked countries, and we see it in that whole fight, immigration battle in Mexico and United States. That is a landlocked area, yes, and the borders have to be patrolled to stem the flow of a lot of illegal things, right? So the same principle would have to be applied to where we are open to the sea. Because we know with immigration, illegal immigration, that is, the amount of problems that can arise if that is not controlled. So in talking about collaboration, as I did recently, just a moment ago, it is important that the Coast Guard, as a partner to work with the police, have a responsibility, and they should be given the resources, the necessary resources, to do their part, so that again we can work together.
What would you say is the greatest challenge facing us right now?
The greatest challenge facing us right now, I mean, generally in the country,
Generally in the country, yes.
apart from that whole incident of crime in Trinidad and Tobago, it's one I believe of productivity. Productivity. If we do not address our values, it is going to have a negative effect on how we compete in the rest of the world. And I say that in the context that if we cannot compete, we do not have goods and services being produced here at a competitive price, how are we going to generate the sort of employment to keep our citizenry living comfortably? So it is important that we we are able to compete on the world stage in goods as well as in services that will attract people to Trinidad and Tobago so that the citizens here will have better employment opportunities. But again, our values where productivity is concerned is very important. Yeah.
So, do you think there's a special need for training to get people into producing so that
Not necessarily
jobs will
because
become available?
Trinidad and Tobago has a history. Trinidad and Tobago presently has a history in the world. And I guess that's why a lot of foreign investors come here, because we spend a lot of money on educating our young people. And I believe we do a very good job of it. But having been trained, how do we use that training to gain maximum benefits? That is where.
So, as you demit office, what kind of message would you want to leave with police officers in the country?
The message I generally would want to. Okay. The message I generally would like to leave to my peers is that they bear in mind the motto that we follow: to protect and serve with pride. To protect and to serve with pride is to serve in a manner that will get the public to draw closer to us, to close that gap between us. And to do so, I would tell us, our people, to serve the members of the public with respect. That is the key. Respect.
Thank you very much, Mr. Denoon. I think the commissioner might be here.
You see? All right, okay, great. Commissioner here. Oh, yeah, he says he went to the washroom, coming out. Come in. Stand for the Commissioner of Police, please. Good evening to each and everyone gathered here this evening. My name is Anthony James. I'm a superintendent of police, and I have been assigned the task of the chairperson for this evening's proceedings. First, I'd like us to please stand as we begin with the opening prayer by PC Kevin Corbett.
Hallelujah. Let's just bow our hearts. Father in heaven, we want to thank you for this beautiful occasion, oh God. Lord, we thank you that we could come and celebrate with a man who has served in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service for 39 years. God, we thank you that you have protected him. You have protected him and blessed him and his family, oh God. Father, we thank you that he has served and served well, oh God. And even now, as we celebrate with him and this retirement, God, he's not leaving us, but God, he's going to a time where he can now rest with his family. Father, we thank you for blessing this evening's proceedings. Let it be filled with your presence, and let it be filled with gratitude, oh God. This we ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please remain standing as together we sing our national anthem. 1, 2. 2. Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of a blue Caribbean sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Thank you very much. You can take your seats, please. Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Williams, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Glenn Hackett, Deputy Mayor of the City of San Fernando, Mr. Junior Regrello, Councillor Laverne Smith, and I want to especially recognize retired Commissioner James Philbert, other first and second division officers, persons from the media, invited guests, and most important, our guest of honor, Mr. Donald Denoon, and First Lady, Mrs. Denoon. The pleasure is indeed ours this evening to gather here to celebrate a journey that we would not consider as culminated, but will continue. We are celebrating this evening someone who has paid a price, someone who, as was mentioned in prayer, has served, and has served with dedication, with pride, with loyalty and commitment to an organization that has an onerous task on its shoulders. This evening we pay tribute to a man, a husband, a father, a grandfather. We pay tribute to an assistant commissioner of police, one who extolled the virtues of true leadership, of management, who spoke about discipline and all the necessary acumen that we ourselves, members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, should be possessed of to carry on. His is not a departure, but his is one where he's just temporarily leaving, but will remain attached. As they say, even though you walk into the realm of retirement, you still remain a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Because as you know, the serving members will continue to communicate and contact you, seeking your advice and your guidance. At this juncture, I would like to have Mr. Kelvin Corbett do a special to a tribute to our retiring Assistant Commissioner, Mr. Kelvin Corbett.
And truly, it's an honor to be here to celebrate with our ex-Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Denoon. And this, what I'm going to do, normally I'm a person to play the steel pan, but I want to give my Assistant Commissioner, who is going home now, a special surprise. And that is by singing a song for him. All right? somehow we survive. We keep the feelings warm, protect them from the storm until our time arrives. And then one day the sun appeared, and we come shining through those lonely years. You made it through the rain, you kept your world protected. You made it through the rain, you kept your point of view. You made it through the rain and found yourself respected by the others who got rained on to today. You made it through. Can't we say that today? You really made it through, amen? When friends are hard to find and life seems so unkind, sometimes you feel afraid. But you know what? Just reach beyond the clouds and rise above the crowds and start your own parade with the help of God. And when you chase your fears away, that's when you know that you could finally say, can we sing this part with me? He made it through. He made it through the rain. He kept his world protected. He made it through the rain. He kept his point of view. He made it through the rain and found himself respected by the others who got rained on to, sir. You made it through. You made it through the rain. You kept your world protected. You made it through the rain. You kept your point of view. You made it through the rain and found yourself respected by the others who got rained on to. You made it through. You made it through. And we are really proud of you, sir. That's why we say, he made it through. Yes, he did. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelvin Corbett, for that excellent rendition. The words of that song, I know for a fact, will be indelibly imprinted on the hearts of most of us here whenever we reflect on the journey through this organization of our Assistant Commissioner, Mr. Denoon. I would now like to invite to the podium Assistant Superintendent Lorna Sedan Phillip to give us a profile on our Assistant Commissioner to help us remember his sojourn. Ladies and gentlemen, Assistant Superintendent Lorna Sedan Phillip.
Chairman, Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Williams, Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Glenn Hackett, Deputy Mayor, Mr. Junior Regrello, Alderman Bisessa, Councillor Smith, other First Division officers, members of the media, specially invited guests, our very loved guest of honor, Mr. Denoon and Mrs. Denoon, members of the Denoon family who are present. It is indeed an honor, privilege, and pleasure for me to be afforded the opportunity to give a brief profile of our dear Assistant Commissioner of Police, Donald Carlisle Denoon. ACP Denoon was born in Fullerton, Cedros. One day, whilst painting a neighbor's house, he heard that the police was hiring recruits, and he was unemployed and looking for a job. Mr. Denoon decided to go down to the Point Fortin police station and apply. On arrival there, he met an officer who he later came to know as Satan Jack. For those of us who know Satan Jack, you would know that ACP Denoon immediately questioned his decision to join the service. But the rest is history. ACP Denoon began his devoted service on the 1st of December 1977. He moved up the ranks from constable to assistant commissioner, where at each rank he performed his duty with utmost efficiency and integrity, earning him a TTT Merit Badge, Long Service Award, commendations for devotion to duty, outstanding police work, dedication to duty, tact, and intelligence. Mr. Denoon is not the type of officer to remain stagnant, and I am certain that as I speak, he is thinking of preparing for an exam that is soon to come. He always sought to expand his knowledge and has pursued many training courses, both privately and through the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. A few of these include psychology, criminal investigation, public administration and management, and criminology. All these courses contributed to his impeccable performance within the service. As we all know, being a member of the TTPS means no one is immune to being transferred. Mr. Denoon was no different. He served in many areas of the service, included the Mounted Branch in 1980, Southwestern Division from 1988 to 2005, where he was promoted to the rank of corporal in 1998 and sergeant in 2002. In 2005, Mr. Denoon was transferred to the Homicide Bureau of Investigation, and he stayed there until 2010. During this time, he was promoted to inspector in 2005, assistant superintendent in 2007, and superintendent in 2009. In January 2010, Mr. Denoon returned to the Southern Division to act as the senior superintendent and was confirmed in that rank on the 19th of May, 2011. He joined the executive of the TTPS on August 15, 2012, where he acted as the ACP to the Northern and Western Divisions. On the 10th of April 2013, he returned to the Southern Division to act as the ACP South and was confirmed in his appointment on the 23rd of February 2015. ACP Denoon has maintained an outstanding track record within the TTPS. His enthusiasm over the years, combined with his kind personality, consistent proactivity, will definitely be missed by all. He proceeds on pre-retirement leave on July 13, 2015, after 39 years of exemplary service. May God richly bless you and your families, sir. Thank you.
And Lorna, Cedar, and Philip for that profile, which accurately reflected the journey of our Assistant Commissioner through his career choice, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. I'd like at this moment to now invite to the podium our esteemed Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Williams, to address the August audience here, please. Ladies and gentlemen, our Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Williams.
Thank you very much. Superintendent James, Master of Ceremonies, Deputy Mayor Junior Regrello, Deputy Commissioner Glenn Hackett, Councillor Smith, Alderman Bissessa, Retired Commissioner James Filbert, the Head of Southern Division, Senior Superintendent Hackshaw, and the Head of Western Division, Senior Superintendent Huggins, to all the specially invited guests, First Division officers, Second Division officers, friends, family, and special recognition of the guests of honor, ACP Denoon and his wife, Mrs. Denoon, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Functions like these can be at times very challenging. And it can be challenging because the police service over the years has placed itself in what I can call a quagmire. Today, we are recognizing 38 years of service to the Trinidad and Tobago through the form of policing, as contributed by Assistant Commissioner Denoon. And I would keep mentioning that because Mr. Denoon is proceeding on some vacation, pretty substantial sum, because for the purposes of retiring, his retirement will take place in 2016 November. So if you count the months, you will see how long he still has a serving officer, and he will be a serving officer until such time as we reach November 2016. So plenty time, and plenty things he can do for Trinidad and Tobago. With all that we have done and all that he has done through his university education and through the training that we've done locally and foreign, and the wealth of knowledge that he has acquired, there is tremendous contributions that he can make to Trinidad and Tobago from now till November 2016 and beyond November 2016. So I just wanted to put that into the mix early. Because the police service has gotten, not now, has gotten over time into a position where we are sending off our officers pretty early, and some people for 4 years and 3 years and 2 years and whatever by way of accumulated leave. So it's something which has to be fixed, and I have undertaken to try to fix it. Against objections and all odds, I'll try to fix that. But as it relates to this function today, I just want to say that Assistant Commissioner Denoon is one of those exceptional officers. He joined the executive when I took over leadership of the police service. Just a few days after taking over leadership of the police service, he was appointed to act, and he joined the executive team. But I knew him extremely long time, from way back, and I knew him one way: a dedicated officer who would give his best. And I never knew him as, quote-unquote, any troublemaker. So as a senior officer, you always seek to have persons like Mr. Denoon available to you in whatever capacity, because you know for a fact he will contribute in a positive way and give his best on a continuous basis without objections. The period that we've been closest would be the period that he has served in the executive, and that's from 2012 to now. And I can give you the assurance that no matter what you would have assigned to Assistant Commissioner Denoon, he approached it in a positive way to give it his best. Trinidad and Tobago has truly benefited from his service, 38 years service as of now, and in 2016 will be 39. But an organization like this need to say special thank you, and say that thank you on behalf of the nation, because the work of policing is generally very challenging, but it also goes without real thanks. And no matter what you do, whether it's positive, somebody asks something else which reflects the negative. And that is what we didn't get yesterday. We got that from the point of enlistment. From the time you started, you know for a fact that's the challenging position. Policing is a profession which stays in the limelight and which stays as a challenging profession for which you will be continuously questioned in relation to what you are doing in relation to Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody's son would have done a wrong. Nobody asked the mother, nobody asked the father. They asked what the police service is doing. And that is what we need to understand. So as a police officer, I want to just say that it's tough. The stress levels are way beyond. And the human body can just take so much. Critical, though, has to do with how much support you have internally organization, and you get that support from the very way you perform as a leader. And I'm sure Mr. Denoon would have gotten certain levels of support from the people who would have worked with him and who would have surrounded him throughout his years. But a critical feature of the support is your family. And I know he is a family man, and his wife would have had to endure challenging times over the last few years because the demand for service has been high on all of us. So when people generally are sleeping in their bed, and when people are enjoying public holidays and everything else which goes nice with Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Denoon and the other police officers would have to forego family to be out there to make a major difference for Trinidad and Tobago. And that effort hasn't gone down by way of wastage. We've been seeing, and I'll continue to say that, we've been seeing tremendous progress. We're not where we want to be, but it is the effort, that special effort from people like Mr. Denoon, which would have allowed us as an organization to see tremendous progress over the last few years. I need to say special thank you, Mr. Denoon, for your commitment as a true professional, a professional who has displayed it by way of not looking at the challenge of distance. I know for a fact that you had to work up in Port of Spain for many years, and that's been tough. I can't imagine when I have to travel down to an event down in Southwestern Division. It's a serious journey from Port Spain to Southwestern just for one event. When you have to work and you live in Southwestern Division and you have to work in Port of Spain, that is serious commitment. And, you know, so my heart goes out for everybody. Mr. Rodriguez is watching me and wondering. And that's why I made sure Mr. Rodriguez is still in Southwestern Division. Is the pain I have for people who have to travel such long distance, Mr. Rodriguez. And Mr. Denoon would have had to go through that for many, many years. So the first opportunity to send him back to Southern Division to run this region, I seize it and arrange for him to be back here. And he's done a tremendous job, and I want you to all to join with me to say a special thanks to Mr. Denoon for the fantastic work that he has done as a professional police officer over 38 years. Mr. Denoon, I want to give you the assurance that every single member of the executive team recognizes your contribution and recognizes the value that you have for the country on a continued and continuous basis. And everything I can do to get whatever form, whether in another capacity, because I'm actually been doing that over the recent years, ensuring that as much police officer with the expertise who can come to contribute on a continuous basis for Trinidad and Tobago to be a better place, because we've set ourselves a vision to make every place in Trinidad and Tobago safe. But that vision that we set is one which cannot be achieved on the basis of the police alone. It has to be achieved on the basis of a clear working partnership and collaboration between the police and agencies and the citizens of this land for us to achieve that vision. But I'm just saying that everything possible that I can do for Mr. Denoon to continue to contribute, because his heart is in policing. He will continue to be a police officer until 2016 November, and everything I can do for you to do the thing that you're most comfortable with, the thing that I call it the policing blood is flowing through your veins and will continue to flow through your veins until you die. And it's something which, once you spend many, many years in policing, you can't take it out. I'm sure Mr. Philbert can't take that out of him. Mr. Paul in the back can't take that out of him. And every time I go to the retirees functions and meet with the officers who would have retired, they still speak to their concerns around things which are happening and come up with suggestions and recommendations for us to continue to improve. Because when you seize the opportunity to pursue this kind of profession and spend many years in this profession, now we know how you can separate yourself from this profession, regardless of the issue that people call retirement, or you move to another job or whatever. You cannot separate. It's part of your DNA. Policing becomes part of your DNA, and that cannot be separated. And I'm sure no spouse who would have spent those years would ever try to separate it, because they will not have the husband if they take out that DNA from him. Death will step in as against anything else. So the issue about policing, this is a unique profession, one which we know that we will get pushback. We were down here a few days ago, and we were celebrating the commitment of officers. I read on today's papers a comment where it would seem like somebody in the society feel that the Commissioner of Police should not reward police officers and should focus on the issue of crime as against rewarding officers. So we rewarded officers down here, and we'll continue to reward officers, because if nobody out there would say thank you to us, we have to say thank you to ourselves, and we have to say congratulations for a job well done, and we have to continue to promote positive things so that we can motivate and keep the organization going to meet with the demands of society. So, Mr. Denoon, I am grateful for firstly knowing you, secondly for getting the benefit of your unquestionable dedication and support to my leadership. Things are happening the way it's happening today because you all are the ones who are causing it to happen. The effort in this region, you have had three divisions under your command: Central, Southern, Southwestern, and they are tough divisions, but every day we have to continue to push, and it required that executive leadership in the region to cause us to be where we are today. And you've been doing that. You've been doing that, making the effort. Sometimes, you know, everybody wouldn't appreciate what you do. Like one day when Johnny expressed, he said, well, you know, we will have our disagreement, but I see the importance of your leadership and your support, and clearly everyone may have disagreement, but at the end of the day we need to see what we are setting ourselves by way of the key vision for whether it's a region, for a division, or for the nation, Trinidad and Tobago. So you have done a fantastic job as a police officer, and it is easy just to come and speak about someone, but speaking about someone who has truly performed is an emotional thing. You've done exceptionally, and I need to thank you for it. Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is appreciative of all that you've done, and I am sure the law-abiding citizens out there are also appreciative of a police officer like you committing, in this particular instance, as of now, 38 years of dedicated professional service to make life better for the citizens of this land. So I want to thank you very much for all that you've done, and wish you all the best in the future, and to give you the assurance you have my continuous support for whatever is your choice by way of your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner of Police, for that discourse and words of advice to our honorable guest. You now have a special by Ms. Melissa Phillip, another tribute befitting to our Assistant Commissioner, Mr. Denoon.
Hassan, good afternoon to the Commissioner of Police. A special good afternoon to Mr. Santana. A special good afternoon to all seniors and invited guests. And a special good afternoon to Mr. Denoon. Mr. Denoon is like a father to me. He isn't afraid to meet you on the hallway and give you advice spiritually and work, in terms of work. And he has been a help in that category, and he doesn't know it. And it's very few times I have met Mr. Denoon and speak to him in the hallway or the cafeteria. He will meet you anywhere and give you spiritual advice. Anywhere. He's not afraid. Right? Thanks, Mr. Denoon. And you came through it all, and we all love you for it. My voice is not as the best as you know it, so please bear with me. No problem. I can still go on and on saying good things about Mr. Denoon. Very, very, very nice individual. Very nice. And thanks, Mrs. Denoon. Thank you very much for giving us Mr. Denoon. Very dedicated person and always have a smile on his face. If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know we'll think of you every step of the way. And we all will always love you. We'll always love you. We'll always do. You bittersweet memories. That is all we're taking with me. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We all know you're just what this service needs. And I will always love you. Will always love you. Even if I had to pause into the song or play it with the music and just mock it, I would have. Nothing would have stopped me from standing here and singing today. We love you, we love you. And we wish you all the best. We wish you all the happiness with your kids, with your wife. Enjoy retirement. Because we all hope life treats you kind, and we hope you have all you dreamed of, and we wish you joy and happiness. But above all this, we wish you love. Love you.
much, Ms. Phillip, for that splendid rendition. At this moment, I would like to invite to the podium our Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Glenn Hackett, to give a few words to our honored guests, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Glenn Hackett.
Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Williams, Deputy Mayor, Mr. Junior Regrello, Retired Commissioner of Police, Mr. James Philbert, Retired Senior Superintendent of Police, Mr. Ruth Van Paul, Assistant Commissioner Cecil Santana, Head of the Southern Division, Mr. Hackshaw, Head of Western Division, Mr. Huggins, Superintendent Ford, Zamshid Mohammed, all other First Division officers, Second Division officers, specially invited guests, members of the media, significant others, the Denoon family, and to our honored guests, Mr. Denoon and Mrs. Denoon. Good evening to you all. We have heard Mrs. Sedan Phillip give us or depict to us Mr. Denoon's ascension from the day he joined the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, culminating in its promotion to the rank of Assistant Commissioner. We have heard from the Commissioner of Police speaking differently about Mr. Denoon and his other roles. I will tell you this evening, and the thing is that the Master of Ceremony said a few short words. I will speak shortly or briefly about some things that I know about Mr. Denoon. Mr. Denoon, on Monday, the 1st of December 1977, traveled all the way from Point Fortin to St. James Barracks, as we used to call it in those days, to begin his journey as a constable in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. I myself, on that very sad day, embarked on a journey from Sangre Grande to the St. James Barracks. Mr. Denoon and I were strangers to each other at that point in time. But after 7 months and 20 days, sleeping in the same dormitory, we became friends. And what is more poignant and more important, we remain friends to this day. Mr. Denoon, when we passed out, went his separate way, I went my way, but we all carved our niches in different parts of the police service. I heard what he was doing, and probably heard what I was doing. And sometime later in our journey, we ended up in the First Division, and we started to see each other more regularly. And then we ended up in the executive of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service together, and we saw each other even more regularly. And we cemented our relationship and compared, you know, what was happening with our different experiences to make the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service a more efficient and effective organization. What I can tell you is that, and what is significant to me, is that Mrs. Sedan Phillip mentioned that Mr. Denoon was painting a house when he heard about the offer of employment in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. What, I don't know how significant or insignificant it may be, Donald, but I worked as a painter for some time in the works department. So painters came true. What I particularly like and could speak proudly about my batch, Mr. Denoon, my squad mate, is that coming from humble beginnings, he immersed himself into the work that was the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and self-actualized in his present position by working hard, but not only by working hard, but by a history of self-development. Many persons will tell you that Mr. Denoon studies hard and he's always have some exam to do and whatnot and so on and so on. And I admire that about him. He was very, very determined, and it augurs well, and it should be an example for other young police officers who have now joined the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to take the time to dedicate and devote yourself to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service first. The old police will tell you, learn the work first. And then you can see about individual development and so on. But sometimes it goes the other way. But Mr. Denoon has always stood out, and somebody talk about his being, his integrity, and it's something that precedes him. His level of integrity precedes him in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. No one can stand and point fingers at Mr. Denoon, probably except for Watson Duke. But no one can point fingers at Mr. Denoon for any acts of impropriety or anything like that. Mr. Denoon has shone throughout his contribution in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and I congratulate you, Batch. This is not the end, but the beginning of another journey in your development of self. And someone mentioned, I think it was Melissa mentioned, that you would give religious advice at any opportunity. And I know that having been speaking with you over the years, that you have commiserated with your God, and you have found yourself closer with your God. And it's something that we all need to develop, a closer relationship with God, whoever we call God, a closer relationship, so that we can in turn influence his divinity and spread his love to all our brothers and sisters, to ensure that not only we make Trinidad and Tobago safe, as is the vision of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, but we make Trinidad and Tobago a place where love flourishes. Mr. Denoon, I want to wish you all the best in your next journey. And I hope that you and Mrs. Denoon immensely enjoy together that journey with your children, your grandchildren, and that you will always have the capacity to look back on your journey in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as something that you would have totally enjoyed and have the greatest of fun and regard for the people that you would have met. Thank you, Mr. Denoon, and as the Commissioner said, you have our support in any endeavor that you may pursue in your next journey. Thanks.
Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Glenn Hackett. At this juncture, we will have another rendition by Miss Melissa Phillip to pay another tribute to our retiring Assistant Commissioner. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Melissa Phillip.
Now, the end is I face final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, but more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. And yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew, but through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, oh no, oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, we can sing along. Then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows he took the blows and he did it his way.
A splendid rendition in honor of our special guest, Mr. Denoon. Yes, indeed, sir. You did it your way. At this juncture, I would like to invite to the podium to say a few words our retired Commissioner of Police, Mr. James Filbert, in tribute to you, sir, on this your retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Filbert.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Williams, Mr. Hackett, Deputy Commissioner, other senior officers, Mr. Denoon, as well as address you twice. You're still in the executive. Senior superintendents, I've seen a few people who I can remember. Mr. Hackshaw. I saw Mr. Harold Phillips' name here, but I don't know if he's here. Of course, our Deputy Mayor, Mr. Regrello. Mrs. Denoon and the Denoon clan who are here, and to the other police officers, junior police officers in the first and second division, the media, and honor guests invited. So I've had two surprises. One from Miss Johnson, who caught me off guard because I don't answer my phone, and I answered, and she said, "Mr. Philbert, you are invited to be here on Friday." And then I have this surprise that I have to talk. I was thinking that I would escape to the not seeing anything but observing. And today is a good day to observe because I've heard some lovely things from the commissioner, from Miss Phillip, from Mr. Hackett, and other persons who spoke before. And so I just want to say that I totally agree with what has been said. But I will just pick up a few pieces that I heard, and I heard that Mr. Denoon did meet Mr. Samuel Montezioca Jack, better known as Satan Jack. And I don't know if Mr. Jack has spoken to you, but he must have spoken to you because you took up the mantle. But Mr. Jack was one of those total police officers. Mr. Jack is one of those officers who would bite you, but he was an exceptionally good police officer, and he was feared by all who became close to him. But I would say that Mr. Denoon became my neighbor in 1980 when I moved to Capitol. And his sisters, who are here, and his brother, I knew them then. And they are still, as a matter of fact, they are more solidly my neighbors now because of a certain activity. And I knew Mr. Denoon's father, Mr. Iralis Denoon, who was a head teacher. And by the way, Mr. Denoon is from Tobago, so it's a special situation that nobody has signified here this evening. So I do have a special point. Mr. Denoon's family, they are from Tobago. And Mr. Denoon's father was this principal who I always looked upon as somebody who was a real good example of a good citizen and a good teacher. And he made his mark on the radio being called Mr. Pointfortin because he called in on that morning program, on the 7:30 program, with Mr. what's his name, who died, the mayor, the first mayor of, not the first mayor, but the youngest mayor of Arima, and the other person there who spoke on morning. And he made some wonderful contributions. And if you knew his mother too, who I want to give credit to today, you would understand why Mr. Denoon possessed the qualities that were identified here today. So Mr. Denoon is by no means an easy person. And his reason for reading and writing all these exams certainly came from his background of his parents, especially his father, Mr. Iralis, who perhaps had his own library home. And I think he sold books too, that's all? Yes. He did. Now, so I knew Mr. Denoon sometime during the course of my service, I think at Pointfortin. And if I recall, Mr. Denoon, you were in the K9? Yes. So the K9 was not as it is today, pronounced today, dealing with drugs and arms, but the K9 served a very useful purpose for us at that time as well. And Mr. Denoon made his mark and then he moved on. I think Mr. Denoon's challenge, if I understand it well because I was there, came when he was transferred to the Homicide Bureau of Investigation, which is not a very easy thing. But I did have conversations with him then, as well as other people, and I understood the challenge. I want to congratulate you, Mr. Denoon, for your stint of service, and to tell you that retirement is something we should all look forward to. You know, my surprise was that I thought, having heard of the, well, you know, you hear a lot of things, and perhaps the commissioner might correct me. I did hear that leave was going to be bought out. And I heard that you were one of the special persons earmarked for buying out leave. So even when I told my wife, I said I was just invited to speak to Mr. Denoon's farewell, she said, Mr. Denoon not retiring. I said, well, I understand. Perhaps it's just a portion of what is happening, but he might stay on. So that was my surprise, because I thought you would be there for some time. And I thought, too, that for me, I thought your service came to kind of an abrupt end in terms of what I saw you doing and understanding where the service is today and the need for people like you. But nevertheless, it all comes to an end. And I always tell people the police service is like a bus. you're going to have to drop out at some time. We all have stops that we will get, and your stop is perhaps just around the corner, and you'll get off. Now, I just want to see that. I just want you to be a little more quieter when you're passing on mornings with your wife walking. Because Mr. Denoon and his wife walk on mornings and they pass in front of my house 4 o'clock. And for some reason, after they pass, sometimes between you and the bus, the 4 o'clock bus, you know you have to get up. But I just want to say to you that amongst other things, or if it's one good advice, you should continue your physical exercise. The police service gets you in a momentum. My experience was that when I was home, my first few weeks at home, I used to cross the road, and you know the place, as it was then, and I would get into a garden before breakfast and miss breakfast and then have lunch because I just had to find something to do. And then I accidentally got into the law practice, which is something that I'm trying to retire from at this time as well. Because I don't think I understand what true retirement is. The law practice is as difficult, as trying and testing as the police service. You know, but the thing about it pays the bills. And you will find out as well, you shouldn't be shocked, you should find out as well, when you leave the police service that you need to balance yourself because your standing orders and all of those things just could fall apart. So you need to pay attention to that. It can cause you a little embarrassment. So, you know, being in a retiree for the past 5 years, I would say that to you that it is a nice thing, and I want to congratulate your wife as well for keeping you, because when all the bacchanal take place on the job, and I've had some bacchanals on the job in a particular time, I was tested by several means, and when you go home and you look down and you can't get up, in terms of handing you that lunch bag on a morning and saying go to work, it was an encouragement to go and get the job done and not hide and cringe, because there are times when you feel, look, I ain't going back out there, you know, I ain't going. But you go, and yes, that's where your main support is. And of course, when you come back home with all your bruises, the comfort is there as well. So, Ms. Denoon, I want to say congratulations to you, because I have been around and seen both of you together, and we have been at functions. I have dropped your daughter home several times, your daughter and my daughter converse, so I don't hear everything, but I have an idea how things are. So it's good, and you will find yourself involved by knowing a number of things, and your academic aspirations, I'm sure, will continue as well. You know, so in saying all that, I just want to, on behalf of my family, say to you, congratulations. You have made, what, 39? 39. There's no half here in policing, Mr. Denoon. And, you know, people who stand on the outside, I've heard the commissioner talk about the public complaining. The public has a right to complain. We know that. They will not stop complaining. And I tell people that the best thing you can do is to behave like the director of the orchestra. You turn your back to the public and direct the orchestra so you get good music for them. If you face them, the band is going to play stupidness. You know? So at the end of the day, although they complain, you're going to hear them saying, you know, he singing, you know, but we get it done. Rather than you face them and the band doing what they want, or you look back and the band is gone. So you do that, Mr. Denoon, and all the other serving officers, that's the way it is. You're not going to hear people saying, I joined the police service in 1967. Friday last would have been 47 years in the police service. Time flies. And when I joined the police, people were complaining, and they're still complaining. In those days, a robbery was you'd get 3 robberies a year, and you'd get 2 murders every 6 months. Things are quite different. The solve rate was a different thing. If you didn't solve a crime, it's because you didn't investigate it. You know, things have changed. There's a challenge on, and I know that you all are going to do it. The thing about it is, when you separate yourself, the same man, Satan Jack, before he died, could hardly avoid a police station. And he quarreled and quarreled and quarreled about what he thought should be done and couldn't separate himself. And I think he frustrated himself to the point that police officers didn't really want to have conversations with him. He said, don't let that happen to you. You know? Right? So I want to encourage you and to say to you, continue looking after your health. Yourself is important, and your family. They are there with you. They're going to be there when everything falls down. They're going to be there. I will still see you. I'll see your sisters, and perhaps people should know that they're all teachers coming from the line of your father and your mother. So you all will continue to educate us, and be well. Just do me the favor of not dragging your feet when you pass 4 o'clock in the morning to wake me up. I prefer to wake up on my own at 6 o'clock in the morning. All right? Yes? And thank you very much. And all the best to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Retired Commissioner James Philbert, for those kind words of advice to our retiree. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Assistant Commissioner of Police, Silla Christopher. Ma'am, it's a pleasure for you to join us this evening. Grace us with your presence. At this time, I'd like to invite to the podium to say a few words also to our retiree, our Junior Mayor of the City of San Fernando, Mr. Junior Regrello. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Junior Regrello.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Mr. Stephen Williams, Commissioner of Police, Mr. Glenn Hackett, Deputy Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner Cecil Santana, and of course our stellar guest of the evening, Mr. Denoon, his lovely wife and the rest of his family, other distinguished guests, Councillor Smith and Alderman Bissessor of San Fernando City Corporation. I sit here with a bit of envy as I hear about the police service, because I must admit that I have my story to tell. I tried to join the service many, many years ago, and I don't want to reveal my age here, but I grew up in Vistabella with the Sampson family and quite a few others who in those days saw the police service as the way to go. So they came down, I think it was 1970, when there was a surge in recruitment for the police service, and they joined and they were wearing the uniform, and we used to go to the barracks to hang with them and drink beers in the canteen at a very cheap price. So the following year, they said, well, it is my turn to join the service, and I came down on the side of the opposite the magistrate court, went through the process, no flat heels, no flat foot. I had always had good height, qualified. Went to St. James Barracks, as Mr. Hackett referred to, did a dictation test, passed with flying colors, did the, I think it was an English test, I think it was, an arithmetic, and it was something else that we did, passed. But the only thing is that I was 17 years. And when the results came out and I went back, I spoke to Sergeant Johnson was his name, and he told me that the only person who could save you was Kabaka. You have to go and see Kabaka, not Satan, but Kabaka. I think it was Superintendent Maurice was his name, right? So I went to Mr. Kabaka. He told me, young man, you see the gate on the western side, you can exit there and come back next year. So unfortunately, I didn't make the police service, but did other things. And I didn't go back the following year. Sorry, seriously. Otherwise, I might be like Mr. Denoon sitting here and retiring. But I want to compliment Mr. Denoon for reaching this very remarkable milestone. And obviously, based on what we heard this evening, he served the people and he served the police service well. I met Mr. Denoon a couple of years ago when I became Deputy Mayor of San Fernando, and we interacted, and we used to have some very quiet conversation, but very cogent conversation on the state of the country. And I recognized, based on this conversation, that he was an educator and he really wanted to transform not only the police service, but Trinidad and Tobago, and that I think is most commendable. I want to congratulate his wife as well, because I think being the wife of a police officer is no mean task, and to do it for 38 years consistently is worthy of commendation. I also want to congratulate his family as well for giving him the support, and you hear so much about them. Mr. Denoon, I want to wish you peace and enjoyment in your retirement. I heard you speaking a while ago about teaching and traveling and things like that. I envy you in this regard, but I think you should rest for a while, take the money, take the check, how many days it is that you have accumulated, and go on a cruise with the lady and forget about the police service for a while and relax. I also thought it was a bit strange when I heard about your rapid movement up through the ranks, because I'm hearing something else, some Inspector Ram, there was a guy in the union or whatever it is. It takes a long time to get an appointment and that sort of thing, but you move from between 2004 2002 all through the ranks. I don't know if something was different in those days than how it is now, but that really touched me. And I want to commend Mr. Philbert for making that comment earlier when I thought I should have said that as a politician, but he said it, so it saved me from saying that. So I want to congratulate you once more for your achievement and for your contribution to the city of San Fernando. And you don't have the problems in San Fernando that Johnny Abraham has in Central. It says a lot for the service of you and Santana and the other officers, and by all means the people of San Fernando. We are peaceful, loving, and quiet. So we thank you for keep maintaining that, and I wish you all the best in your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our Deputy Mayor of the City of San Fernando, Mr. Junior Regrello. At this stage, based on a program, I am being invited now to move a toast on behalf of the celebrant. But before doing so, I believe it would be fitting and right that I say my piece. So, we first met some years ago, I think it was in 2006, 2007, when I joined the Homicide Bureau investigations. And it was from that moment, Mr. Denoon was my immediate supervisor. And I can recall certain aspects of Mr. Denoon, which will always remain within me, within my mind, and within my memory. And so I want to say to you that you'll always be remembered, first of all, for being an advocate of spirituality. Every single day you have a conversation with Mr. Denoon, the aspect of spirituality always played an important part in his conversation. You all be remembered, sir, for your leadership style, very charismatic, principle-centered. You always the one who always had that open door policy. Come to you and we could discuss issues. You will be remembered for your being very democratic. You allowed each person in your audience to speak their mind, whatever thoughts. You also allowed persons to have a differing view, whether discussion were based on investigations or even personal issues. You always kept that open mind. You remembered for as a person who never held people in mind, always possessed that forgiving spirit. And you voiced it. It was always clear, always very cogent whenever you spoke. Even though someone got you angry, you would come out and admit, okay, maybe I would have been wrong for the way I spoke with you. You all been the kind of person who had that intellectual capacity, always encouraging persons to develop. I'm a beneficiary of that particular process, and to you I'm extremely thankful. You've all been the one who advocated persons to engage in study, self-development. And even if the organization provided some medium to progress and to develop, you were one of the persons who advocated to and ensured that members of the Homicide Bureau and even all your subordinates were beneficiaries of such developmental programs. Having the privilege of sitting at your meetings as the Assistant Commissioner South, I can simply remember the manner in which you conducted your discourses with decorum. You were always an advocate for integrity, moral and work ethics. You were always the one who provided that motivational tenacity. And this I can safely say, it spread throughout like a virus through the divisions which fell under your purview. So you'll be sorely missed. In a day that's today where the perception is that the police service is presently hemorrhaging persons who are possessed of the knowledge and experience which you possess. Yet you have left a legacy. The way in which you taught, the way in which you spoke, the way in which you mentored, you coached. We, the beneficiary of that experience, and that's the only word I could find to describe you, sir, as an experience. That will remain with us. It is for us to develop the ability to pass on that through the process of succession planning. You have endowed us with the ability to do certain things. key and paramount would be leadership. Your leadership style is unparalleled, sir. I will always remember your leadership style. And I'm hoping within myself I have the capacity to emulate your leadership style. So as you proceed, sir, into the vineyards where you would have planted your seed many years ago, and now you're about to reap the grapes of that vineyard, I ask that you continue to walk with your God. Continue to profess that knowledge of divinity and spirituality. Continue to be an advocate of development, even within your family. As was mentioned by the deputy mayor, spend a lot of time with your family. I remember one day at a wedding ceremony, I was asked to give a discourse, and walking from where I was sitting to the podium, I wondered what could I say to the newly wedded couple. And then 3 words came to mind: to lie, to cheat, and to steal. And just like now, the audience became still. What could that gentleman say to a married couple? And it seemed to be saying to you: cheat on the times you spend with your friends, spend it with your wife and your family. Steal time away from any odious task you're doing, spend it with your wife and your family. And lie each night with your wife in your bed. And that is something I had advocated to that married couple. Do you, sir, enjoy the benefit of your labor? Continue to reap your harvest. You would have planted, you'd have nurtured, you'd have taken care of your vineyard. Now is your time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And at this moment, I would like each of us to raise our glasses, please. So to you, and here, I want to extend a toast to you. All the best, God's just blessings. May continue to protect you, give you wisdom, keep you in good health, keep you strong, and all be willing to answer our call as the days and the months and the years go by. Congratulations, sir. Cheers to you. At this moment, we have our presentation of gifts to our esteemed guests. Tokens to be presented so that we could be remembered as the persons who would have rendered that human support to a person who would have led a ship, who would have held on to the wheel, who would have kept the ship on course, as was mentioned by our esteemed commissioner. Mr. Denoon led with blind loyalty, commitment. He steered the ship on track. He was what we consider a very unwavering individual. Kept his eyes on his spirituality, but he stayed within the organizational policy. We have a gift to be presented to First Lady, and I would like to invite the Senior Soup Southern Division, Mr. Irvin Hackshaw. Please come to the podium, please. On behalf of this organization, we'd like to present you with this token of our thanks for giving us Mr. Donald Denoon. Next we have we have a token to be presented to our honored guest, Mr. Donald Denoon, sir. Please come to the podium, please. Presented by Senior Superintendent David Lewis. On behalf of the organization, sir, please accept this gift. Thank you very much, sir. And while you're on your legs, I would like to kindly invite you to the podium now. What's that? All right, sorry, my apologies. Another token to be presented by ASP Beverly Rodriguez to our celebrant. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ASP Rodriguez. And now at this moment is the moment where the star shines the brightest. This is the moment where we invite you to the podium to respond to all that was said, and maybe to even further advise us, our celebrant, retiree, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Denoon. Please.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, Superintendent James. Let me first start by saying good night to each and everyone here. It's a pleasure to stand here and look on faces that I would have interacted with during my tour of duty. 38 years of service is impossible just to turn your back and walk away from. Surely during those years, some impact would have been made, relationships would have been established to be cherished during the years. And I feel blessed to stand here this afternoon among many of the persons that I stand here with. We'd have started from what we'll commonly say from the ground. I feel blessed to be with you all here this afternoon and to receive from you all your appreciations. Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Williams, Deputy Mayor of San Fernando, Mr. Junior Regrello, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Glenn Hackett, Alderman Besides the left, and Councillor Smith, Assistant Commissioner of Police, my good friend, Sir Christopher, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Santana, retired Commissioner of Police acting, Mr. James Philbert, commonly known back home as Uncle Sonny in the village. Yes. Senior Superintendent Hackshaw, Senior Superintendent Huggins, key 9 days. Yes. Mr. Paul, Senior Superintendent, retired. All the other first and second division officers gathered here today, invited guests, members of the press, my dear wife, the German Cox Denoon, who have given me all that support through the years, through thick and thin. My brothers, my brother, my sisters, my father-in-law, pay recognition to the elder, Mr. Briggs Cox, the man responsible for the lady here. Passing on what they passed on to her so that she would have done what she had to do to keep the family together. My children, grandchildren, my niece, daughter-in-law. I am saying all of this in recognizing people, because I want to recognize to be the person that I turned out to be. Somebody had to be responsible for that. First, I want to say, thank God for that. I recognize his input in shaping me, bringing me to this place, bringing me to accept him as my Lord and Savior through his Son, Jesus Christ. And my dear departed mother would have played quite a great role in planting those seeds in me today. So what I'm going to say really is just to describe and to remember the contributions that people would have made in my life to bring me to this point. My father, as Mr. Filbert alluded to, was an educator. My grandfather, paternal, was an educator. His children, my uncles and aunts, were educators. Those things impacted me. On my mother's side, her sisters were very caring. They took care of us in our youthful days. And I have fond memories of running around in Speyside in Tobago as a child. That also contributed. School days at the Calypsonian said were very happy days. And one of the things I remembered most, to go to school with a parent, where a parent is a teacher in a school, is not an easy thing. You have to remain strict. And my father was one of the feared teachers in his time. And I thought, well, as a child, I maybe could have gotten away. But I remember one morning having gone to, I was preparing for common entrance, having gone to school early to do lessons. But I didn't attend any lessons. I went to the savannah and play. And the goodly gentleman, you know, in those days you line up in your house. And when time now, after all the prayers were said and so on, to go into the class, and the gentleman singled me out in front of the school. And I got some cane. So I remember that too. So that shaped me, to discipline me, to be who I am today. But in this journey, if we do not recognize the value of others that come into our sphere of life, you're going to make bad decisions. But I thank God I was able to do so. And here I am today. I remembered moving from Southwestern Division, Southwestern, which is known as a college of policing. And I spent my longest time there, approximately 18 years, of which I have a lot of fond memories, of which I learned a lot in policing. There is where the real groundwork was learned. And maybe the impact again from my father, because he was a dedicated and committed teacher. On mornings, we used to go to school with him. And while he's taking breakfast, when you see he pulls his tie, you know you had to hustle on your breakfast to get in the car. That is how he did it. And one of the impressions he left on me, apart from getting ready and going into that car, good night, Kelsey, my granddaughter will be even behind there. Good night, CL. Yes. All right. Is that dedication he exhibited. I believe his school teachers and his school children gain more from him than us at home. And I remember clearly on a Sunday the number of young teachers who came and stayed at our home. And Mr. Denoon would have been talking to them, giving them advice. And many of them I see have risen to great positions, to the extent that he had a friend used to come to him. They had attended training college together. And every time that gentleman came from Jamaica, he came and looked for my father. To the extent that my daughter went to Jamaica to study and met the gentleman at the university. He was in charge of the hall in which she stayed. And you know, there was that ceremony, and they asked her, who from Trinidad, who from Point Fortin, and to see that Fiola, I know your grandfather. And these are the things that I practice with the people that I came into contact with. You read a lot, studied, you experienced a lot, and you shared that with your colleagues, whether senior or junior. And in return, when they spoke to me, sometimes as a young officer, you feel you know it all, and you might say the older officer talking to you, well, you know. But now where I have reached where I have reached, I have recognized the contributions that my seniors made in me being the police officer that I am today. I remember, especially in the homicide, where I gained that knowledge to really project manage an investigation. And you could add that to your administrative ability. It's from the homicide. Yes, coming from Southwestern, you knew all sort of things, yes. But how do you really put things in perspective? I get that from Mr. Paul and Lee. By the time I went to the homicide, Mr. Filbert had already left. But I met Mr. Paul. And Mr. Paul and them, very ready. He rocked back in the chair, so. And he had a kind of gunman attitude, very ready. I remember in a lecture he was holding it. And I was a little troublesome under him yet, but I learned it from him at the same time. He said, how much psalms it have or something like that? And always come in with that advice in that form, that type of delivery. I see Miss Winchester here, she laughing because she knew, yes, and we gave him a, I don't know if he knew it, but we gave him a name, Papa. Say, look, Papa, come in. Papa is, and everybody who passed through beside I show me that learn something from Mr. Paul. I want to say thank you for your contribution in my. Never tell you what. Yeah. Again, Mr. Filbert, remember in a meeting, this is the boy is a cynical, so he died there. The Douglas boy superintendent. Comabach. So Comabach came to a meeting at time, and they found some police uniform and army kit and so on. And they tried to hit Mr. Filbert and kind of rocked about, take busy. Gil, Here, Mr. Paul is homicide investigators. That gunman thing, he say you don't come when you come here. You come here to sing verse. You don't come there. You don't come to. He say you must sing verse and stanza. You don't come and I forget the word he used. Yeah, he said, don't come and extempo. They come to sing the whole crime song. So when they come up around officers like those, you have to be prepared. And all those things impacted me to be prepared. A morning, boys, Philip came to our meeting. He was in Central. So, Central report. Boys, he give 2 lines and say, just come. He said, no, Mr. Philip, no, you come in to represent Central, get everything, whether you know, get everything when you come in here. And with that kind of leadership, you have to learn from it. And those are the things that I learned from that prepared me for where I am today. Again, Mr. Philip, he's talking homicide talk. He spoke about a book named Homicide. I said, Mr. Philip, where you find that book? He said, when he was traveling sometime, he come up on it. And coming from New York once, we had some time. He had me in a bookstore looking up and down until I found the book on a shelf. Mr. Philbert, I bought the book. I read the book and I was able to share now with the officers in the homicide experiences that what we are experiencing here, we are not isolated. That it is general throughout the world. There are little differences, right? But it gave a lot of information and all these things that allow us to share. So I want to just add another piece of advice in the mix is to advise people to read a lot and so on, especially when you are in leadership position, so that you'll be able to marry that with your practical experiences to get your message across. Because people learn in different ways. People learn in different ways. So I always felt that, as I read in the Bible, that love conquers a multitude of sin. And I give love to people all the time. Some of them take it, some reject it. Some take it in 1 minute and some the duck back so and come back. And it worked for me. Praise to God. People came on board. It has allowed me to be humble. It allowed me to say sorry. Through inexperience, I remembered doing a tribunal. I see Mr. Teasdale, yes. So let me talk about that one time. I wasn't so good at the thing, but I'm doing the tribunal, I'm going ahead. I forgot my notes. So I asked the clerk, let me see the notes you have there. And I forget the paper on my desk. The tribunal start. Teasdale started cross-examined. He said, well, he asked for the thing. He seated on my desk, but I know that was called, you make noise already. How I ain't supposed to have that. So you see me? I recuse. I remember the word recuse. As I recuse myself from this. He's still there. Yeah. And all this you know is you learn from these things. I want to begin up the story. Yes, I just see the super ram road myself through the thing. I remember the word recuse. I say I pull out from that. Somebody else go do the tribunal. Again, coming southern to work. I try to interact with everyone. And so I did with the people by Janet. The ladies in the back there, Carrie, Karen, Denise, all of them, you get to know them. So even on the way through now, I had a little challenge medically. So when lunchtime, I go down by them, I want a special diet. The relationship became so strong that they have the menu. When I come on morning, I say, where all they have there? They say, all right, Mr. Denoon, I think it have some yam in the back there. We go boil some of that for you. While everybody else getting anything, I get in yam. And whatever I want. So I want to say thanks, Carrie, Karen, Denise. Right? And so what I want to say, I'm saying all of this again to say that we are in difficult times. We are in difficult times, and the job has to be done. We are in times when I compare when I joined the service to the officers who are joining now, the young ones who are joining now, they come from a different environment. How do the old stagers like myself get them to work? Again, it's something you have to be prepared for. So sometimes I use the example of my children, because when I look at the young recruits and the age of mature, a little younger, and interact with them, we had to get them to work. And one of the things that I did, I made myself accessible to them. They must not be afraid to speak to me. I made myself accessible, and I heard their side, and I had an opportunity to use my experience to share with them and show them, and say, this is the real thing. And in some way, you get people to support you. So I see Mr. Ramdani here, ex-sergeant Ramdani, who was breaking record with DUI exercises in Southern Division. Again, it's the relationship you build with them. You try to give them the resources. They're asking you for all kind of thing. You mightn't give them 100%. So you go by the bosses, you go by Mr. Williams, Mr. talk to him, Mr. Philbert was there, talk to him, they give you whatever they could. But one of the things that you had to impress upon people is that we cannot have everything that we want. And I remember having the opportunity to attend a foreign course, and an old commissioner of police from the New York City Police stuck his hands in his pockets and he spoke for nearly 2 hours. And one of the things that stuck in my mind, tell you that all about you don't have all the resources you need. I thought it was in Trinidad and Tobago alone that we were complaining about resources, but all over the world, in big America, people complaining about resources. They don't have enough. But what has impacted me is that, and it boils back to just what we are doing now, in building the capacity, trying to make the organization more people-centered, interacting with the public. You could get resources from there too. Interacting with other agencies that provide security, interacting with social services. The police service don't have all the resources. But when we build that connection with those other agencies, we have resources for the occasion. And this is one of the things I try to, when I have my meetings, I tell officers, don't come and tell me you don't have this. Because I could show you. I learned that by heart through Uncle Sonny and them. You couldn't go and tell you have this and you have that. Because he will show you how you could do it. So Mr. James here, he used to say when he come on my meetings, he back wet. I showing him it could be done. It could be done. Another thing I learned coming up through here was contribute. Mr. Williams, I remember time he was talking money. And he said, spend the money, buy what has to be bought. He said, once they cannot say you take it and put it in your pocket or to do your business, it's a reality check. Reality. I remember that, sir, in our meeting that you were having. So the person you turn out to be, that person could speak about you in this way. Doesn't happen just like that. We have to recognize the contribution of your family and the people you meet every day, irrespective of the creed, irrespective of the race, irrespective of the class, irrespective of the economic circumstances. But what is dependent upon us as leaders, what people want from us is leadership. And once the people could trust you, once people could perceive that you are there for them, that you are going to stand and support them, 8 out of 10 times, you're going to get that support. And you add a little bit of respect into that. Throw that in the mix too. And all of these are the things that I would have learned from people. You saw others work, see, and you compare how people led. Put that together with all your readings and make a choice. Don't be afraid, because as a leader, my good batch talk about what's new the other day. When I went into the crowd, I look around and see everybody watching the man with the we just call the gadget, walking in the crowd. They say the solution coming. Hearing them saying that. Go and bring some semblance of peace there. They're telling you, you have to act. Tell Duke, I say, but you disappoint. This is not what we agreed upon. I say, you're moving or you're moving. And all the ladies, they mop in the face and the gallivanting and thing. And when I say Nobby, Nobby good? Say, Nobby, take him. I learned that from Santana too. You see Santana operator. I learned that. You don't make joke when you say move it. I learned that too. He contribute. I remember that. I said take him. And Nobby and them want to put the 6 strongest men. Tall, big, strong. And they hug him up on the pool. Easy. Everything done. So people important. People very important. Sometimes when things are rough, you want support. Somebody will come and talk to you. All right. So in saying all of this, I just want to say thanks to everybody who turned out here. A lot of faces I'm seeing here would have contributed to me being the person, the type of officer I turned out to be. No matter what I disagree with what you're saying, I remember the book say, you have to obey and follow who in charge. Sir Philbert was in charge, I give him the 100. He surprised me when he sent me Southern Division to act senior soup. I said the man will send me neighbor, Tobago or something. And a nice section to relax. It was Southern Division. Right. I said, Mr. Williams going to make me ACP Tobago too. I'm going to be a little bit. I hear for us when you're Tobago, you'll be and have a nice time. He said Northwest. That's when they celebrated the 50th year of independence. Port has been hot. Yeah, nice experience, thanks. Nice experience. Mr. Hackett and them in the background, they gave advice. And the beauty about Port of Spain, Northwest, was the carnival experience. I was the goal commander, the deputy, how you call it, deputy goal? Alternate goal. And Mr. Craig was the goal. Well, Mr. Craig was involved in inquiry in South here, which was taking up all his time. And it really gave me opportunity to lead, right? Very valuable experience I gained in that. Thanks for that. And all of this, you know, that looking into the future, thinking about lectures and so on, all of this has added to the pool. I feel that could make me feel I have something to contribute in terms of lecturing, because adult learning has to do, and I believe it could be more effective when you could learn your practical experience and tell the stories. It could help adults to come around than just the tertiary reading. And nowadays, I remember when I first went to the university in 2003, there are a lot of experienced lecturers, people coming from the public service, people who are doing actually working. As opposed to today, you are going back to the a lot of the institutions, and you just hear people talking, you believe they're regurgitating what they have on a piece of paper, no experience. And that cannot help people going back to our workplace, because a lot of people in the workplace are going back to school today to improve themselves. So all those experiences, I think, has prepared me for, although I'm thinking about, I told my wife the other day that I do not in Spanish. I say, I feel I want to go Costa Rica for 6 months. She say, I come in too. I say, all the time I tell you to start to prepare your Spanish. Right? We go Costa Rica, with the motor we go Costa Rica. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Yeah, so we're looking at that. Yeah. So I want to recognize Miss Philip, Melissa, for singing. And I want to recognize her especially that despite the condition of her voice, she went out of the way to come and give me those renditions. The very first time I heard Melissa sing, anything we had in South here, tell my Chief Clerk, Ms. Johnson, I want Melissa to sing that. Last Christmas concert, almost at Bacchanal, Lona, they picked the persons to perform, and Melissa, when I look at it, they bring the list for approval, Melissa not on the list. So they're crazy. Melissa has to be on the list. Right. Melissa, thanks very much for your support. Well, they say behind every successful man, any good man is a good woman. And we give all the accolades to Mrs. Denoon and Mr. Cox. Ms. Cox is not here, but all that you would have done to bring out that kind of individual, so that when the Lord bestowed that favor upon me, when I read that passage of scripture, I say when the Lord, when a man find a wife, you find a good thing, you find favor from the Lord. When I read that, I say, boy, if I intention of honing, not honing. Because I will be spurning the Lord's favor to me. So she had a good run. Up to now, she is still, I always say to her, you always feel that I unfaithful, because you hear people say police does do this and police does do that. I say, I'm not one of them. And before we got married, she went to Tobago, and some aunts of mine tell me, you're going to marry that Denoon boy. Them Denoon men are easy, you know. So I always have to remind her, I say, I am not one of those. Anybody good Denoon? Yeah, and Alicia could attest to that to Dion, that he's a good boy. Just following that footstep, carry also. I hope you hear what I say, yes. That is what, following those. What's that? Well, Mr. James, I tried with James for the longest while, but you're taking different, hard. Maybe I catch you very too old. Right? I want to recognize Kevin David, Special Reserve Officer, who drove me during my period of service. And can't desire better. Well, plenty times, sometimes I'm coming from South, I'm sleeping on myself there. Or when I get up and after I done dribble and everything, I see I'm safe. Kevin has done a good job. Kevin, thanks very much. Right? I have a troublesome little girl around here. What's your boy? Nicole. The clerk. Nicole. Nicole is the clerk typist in the office. Nicola was the same age as my daughter, or a little younger. And I know with young people, every day, they pass on some advice and so on to them and deal with the young people issues. But she has done, she has held the fort and done her part. And I want to tell her thanks very much for that support. And I've always been there when I have my work to do and doing it in a professional way. Yeah, look Nicole there. Yes, sir. Nicole go and tattoo all over she body. I said, Nicole, oh God, how you going to do that in the ACP office? I said, you have to wear some long clothes now, right? And she has been following that advice. All the clothes are tighter, so sometimes she combine me now, I don't do so. Right? But the clothes are pleasure, okay with you, right? Okay. But most importantly of all, Mr. Santana is there now. Mr. Santana, you have a very good chief clerk in Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson has been there for quite a long time. And quite a bit of institutional knowledge has been accumulated within her. And your duty is to tap into that. And your duty is to add your bit to make her better and prepare her, because the time surely would come when she would have to move from there. Okay? The time surely would come. But your role there is to prepare her, help prepare her, so that whenever that time comes, there's a smooth transition and she'll be always able to function without much challenges. But while she is there with you, you have a very loyal chief clerk. I urge you to take advantage of that. Right? I told her, I said, Kathleen, I want to go out quietly. Look, Judy here. Miss Judy Bola, must recognize her. Came to South, got to know her. I think from the homicide. Member of the press. Someone you could talk to, and she never, even though you say, Judy, I'm telling you this, but this is not for printing. She said, yes, Mr. Denoon. Yeah. I'll be talk. Right. Never beat you. But you have a good chief, loyal, and could help. No problem. Right? So I told Kathleen, but she had to get some licks now. I said, Kathleen, I want to go out easy. I want to go out in peace. I want to go out easy. So I took my 4 days carnival leave. I started taking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. She said, what? So Friday you come online with me? You know, Kathleen organized her. So I tell myself, it's a small little lime, you're going to mess there with Danny and drink some wine. Call her, drink some port. I call her George. She said, I had to talk to your wife. Next thing I hear her dress up a jacket, put on a tie. So she said, don't come in no hard pants. Kathleen, thanks very much. When I see what she has done here, you're disobedient, but I'm pleased. I'm pleased. So I have said all of this just to say that no man is an island. Mr. Williams could attest to that. No man is an island. He's the commissioner of police, but he needs that contribution from everybody. He's in the core. Those who are close to the core, those who are on the periphery, everybody had to contribute to the organization's ability and capacity to perform well. And I want a lot of people here with a lot of long years before them, encourage you all. Don't ever say it can't be done. It may not be able to be done the 100% at the 100% benchmark because of the absence or the lack of resources. But what it calls upon us to do is to dig deep into that innate thing in us that allows you to achieve some part, some level of the job to be done. And one of the principles of modern policing is the people are the police and the police are the people. The people must be involved in policing And if you talk about people, you talk about collaboration, cooperation, but most importantly, talk about respect. That is in the pride. You must be professional, respectful, have integrity, dignity to get the excellence. So with these few words, I leave you all. Say thank you all very much for the recognition. I will cherish this in my heart always. Mr. Williams, first Mr. Filbert, thanks for the opportunity to serve with you in the 1st Division, to lead a division. Mr. Williams, thanks for the opportunity to work with you at the executive level and really to assist in encouraging those who we lead to execute the operational activities that we have laid out. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Sir Denoon, for those kind words. Very inspirational and filled with wisdom. What your words have done, sir, has endorsed in us a view held by most of us who would have worked under your purview, that you're one of the persons who never settled for mediocrity, but you're a stickler for exemplary performance, high standards, and a product that resulted in something that's worthy of praise by not only the public, but by also members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So again, to you, sir, I say thank you very much, and congratulations to you as you proceed on your much-deserved retirement leave. I would now like to invite to the podium the Assistant Commissioner South, Mr. Cecil Santana, to give a vote of thanks to this August function here. Ladies and gentlemen, Assistant Commissioner Cecil Santana.
Much, Master of Ceremonies, Superintendent James. Good afternoon to all. Commissioner of Police, Mr. Williams, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Glenn Hackett, ACP Christy Four, our honored guests, ACP Donald Denoon and Mrs. Denoon, Deputy Mayor of San Fernando, Mr. Rigello, Councillor Smith, retired Commissioner of Police, Mr. James Filbert, retired Senior Superintendent, Mr. Rudvin Paul, Superintendent Huggins, Senior Superintendent Huggins, Senior Superintendent Hawkshaw, Senior Superintendent Lewis, Superintendent Mohammed, Dr. Dominic, members of the media, other 1st and 2nd Division officers, other invited guests. This is indeed a very special occasion for us as we gather here to celebrate with our friend and colleague, ACP Donald Denoon, on his retirement after 35 years of excellent service to the TTPS and to the people of our beloved country, Trinidad and Tobago. He has served with excellence. He is blessed. God protected him, and he's now on his way to a new and less hectic and less stressful life. Donald and I will have worked at various points in time together. We will have done some studies together, and we have always shared a good relationship. He can be depended upon to offer good advice and assistance when needed. Donald, thank you for sharing your time, knowledge, and your fatherly advice with me. I wish you well in all your future endeavors. The services loss is your family's gain, and I know that Mrs. Denoon and other family members We'll be happy to have you back after 39 years. On behalf of all the 1st and 2nd Division officers of the Southern Region, I wish to say thanks for all you have done, for all your fatherly advice, for all your tutoring and your mentorship. May God continue to bless and protect you and your family, and may you have a long and happy retirement. I hope that you will collect a lot of pension checks. Congratulations, sir. I wish to take this opportunity to say thanks to WP Sergeant Johnson, Senior Superintendent Lewis, the persons responsible for decorating this venue, the persons responsible for the preparation of the meals, and all other persons who have contributed to the success of this event. I also want to thank all of you for coming to join with us this afternoon to celebrate this very special occasion. Thank you all very much.
Will you all stand, please?
As we close, we ask you to take us safely to our homes. As we do all this in your name, amen.
Thank you very much, ASP Cedan Philip. So again, I want to say thank you very much to each and every one of you for attending this function here on behalf of the celebrant, our Select Commissioner Mr. Denoon and his beautiful wife. Thanks again for the tributes paid. Thanks again for bringing with you your heartfelt spirit and sincere gratitude to a gentleman who would have served and would have given indeed yeoman service in Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So pleasant evening each and every one of you. Enjoy the meal and may you get home safely to your homes. Thank you very much.